Galactic Empire demanded tribute. Earth opened. A tear. The message arrived on a Tuesday. Humanity had been aware of the Galactic Empire for barely 3 years, a vast coalition of species spanning thousands of systems, with technology so advanced, it bordered on magic. They had found Earth almost by accident, a scout ship detecting unusual energy patterns from humanity's crude nuclear experiments. Admiral Thomas Blake stood at the Central Command Console of Earth Defense Headquarters, watching the holographic display of the Imperial delegation's ship in orbit. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but the tight grip of his hands on the console edge told a different story. "Play it again," he ordered. The Imperial ambassador appeared on screen, tall and vaguely humanoid with iridescent scales covering most of its body, its voice translated through Earth's rudimentary xenolinguistic software. "To the leaders of Earth, the Galactic Council has determined your planet's value and position. A tribute of 10% of your global resources is required, annually beginning in 30 Earth days. This is non-negotiable. Failure to comply will result in immediate enforcement measures." "They can't be serious," said Director Anna Miller, head of Earth's scientific division. Her normally composed demeanor had cracked. 10% would devastate our economy, our ecosystems, everything. Blake nodded grimly. "They're deadly serious. The scout reports from our deep space probes confirm it. The Empire has done this to 17 other developing worlds in the last decade alone." "Options?" asked President Wilson, his voice steady despite the weight of 6 billion lives on his shoulders. Professor James Reed cleared his throat. The physicist had been working on experimental dimensional technology for decades, largely ignored and underfunded until the Imperial arrival had suddenly made his research a priority. "The Tier Project," he said simply. The room fell silent. "It's untested," Blake countered. "Everything is untested until it isn't," Reed replied. "The simulations work. The theory is sound. We've moved beyond theoretical physics into applied engineering." "Explain it again," Wilson demanded, "for those who haven't been briefed." Reed tapped his tablet and the holographic display changed to show a complex mathematical model. "The Empire has faster than light travel, advanced weaponry, and shields that could withstand our most powerful weapons. But they operate exclusively in normal space. Our research indicates we can create a tear in space-time, a controlled dimensional rift that would allow us to access resources from parallel dimensions." "You're talking about stealing from another Earth?" Miller asked, appalled. Reed shook his head. "No, we're talking about accessing uninhabited dimensional pockets, spaces, where matter exists but never coalesced into planets or life, raw resources untouched. The math suggests these pockets exist abundantly alongside our reality." President Wilson paced the room. "And this would allow us to meet the Empire's demands without destroying ourselves? It would allow us to exceed their demands," Reed said with quiet confidence, "by several orders of magnitude." 2 weeks later, the project moved forward. Deep beneath the Rockies, in a facility carved into the mountain itself, Reed's team worked around the clock. The device, unofficially dubbed the Needle, stood 20 meters tall, a complex arrangement of superconductors and quantum field generators. "Power systems at 90%, called out Dr. Lisa Thomas, Reed's second in command. "Dimensional coordinates locked." Reed nodded, his fingers dancing over the control panel. "Initiating tear sequence in 3, 2, 1. The air shimmered before the device. Space itself seemed to twist, fold, and then split open like a wound in reality. Through the opening they could see nothing. Not darkness, but a swirling void of potential matter. "My God," whispered Blake. It worked. Within days, the first harvester drones were sent through. They returned laden with raw elements: iron, gold, helium-3, rare earth metals, in quantities that would have taken decades to mine on Earth. Resources that existed as pure elemental clouds in the dimensional pocket, needing only to be collected rather than mined and refined. When the Imperial delegation arrived to collect their tribute, they found Earth's representatives waiting with calm smiles. "We've prepared your tribute," President Wilson said. "In fact, we've taken the liberty of providing twice what you requested." The Imperial ambassador's compound eyes widened slightly, the equivalent of shocked disbelief. "This quantity? It's impossible. Your planetary surveys indicated—" Blake smiled thinly. "Perhaps your surveys were incomplete. The Empire returned the following year, demanding 20%. Earth provided 30%. The year after that, they demanded 40%. Earth provided 50%. 5 years after the first contact, Admiral Blake stood before the full Galactic Council, Earth having been granted membership in record time. "Earth wishes to propose a trade agreement," he announced to the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. "Access to our resource acquisition technology in exchange for technological and cultural exchange." What Blake didn't mention was that Earth had discovered something else in the dimensional pockets, not just resources, but knowledge. The tiers occasionally brushed against parallel timelines where human development had taken different paths. Glimpses of other technologies, other possibilities. The Empire had demanded tribute from a seemingly insignificant world at the edge of the galaxy. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Earth didn't just open a tear in spacetime, they opened a door to their own unlimited potential. As Blake concluded his proposal to the Council, he couldn't help but reflect on the irony. The Empire's greed had pushed humanity to achieve in 5 years what might have taken 5 centuries otherwise. Sometimes, the best response to a demand isn't defiance or submission. Sometimes it's innovation.